Hello AP students. In this video we're going to talk about negative externalities, and this picture is a good representation of really what a negative externality is. So think of externality as an extra impact or something that impacts somebody outside externally of the market. Okay, so we're going to use this example to try and highlight what a negative externality is, and in the next video we'll show what that looks like graphically. So this one is simply going to be sort of an explanation, an intuitive explanation. So what we're looking at here is you have buyers within this market, then you have sellers in this market, this is going to be represented by the firm right here. Okay, so you have the firm, and then you have those outside of the market, or those non-market participants, you could say. So we have the firm, we have the buyers, and then we have these not in the market over here. And so there's an interaction that takes place between buyers and sellers, between the individuals in the market and between the firm. And so over here you have these buyers that are looking to buy cars. All right, so they're going to buy cars, and this firm is going to sell cars. And so this firm decides, well, we're going to produce a certain number of cars, right, depending upon the costs and the benefits, and so we're going to produce a certain quantity of cars. So the interaction between these two things determines the market quantity and the market price, this kind of equilibrium price and quantity based upon the interaction between buyers and sellers. This is pretty straightforward. This is pretty normal. But the problem is, in the world, there exists externalities sometimes. And these are sometimes in markets an interaction between, let's call it Group A and Group B, can impact Group C, even though Group C had nothing to do with the interactions between A and B. So free market proponents oftentimes will say you should just let the market decide. So the market will get it right. That equilibrium will be the point of socially optimal, except when there are externalities. So sometimes there are extra costs that are imposed upon other people. So what these buyers have to decide is the cost of the car worth the benefit of the car, right? And that'll help determine the quantity and price within the market. The firm does that same sort of thing. Is the benefit of selling the car worth the cost of producing the car? And these two sides will end up determining a specific quantity that is exchanged. Okay. Well, what if somebody else is impacted? And so why in this market for producing cars would there be a third party that's impacted? So let's say I'm not a car buyer. I don't drive a car. Let's say I live close to work, or I bike, or I take mass transit or something like that. Am I impacted by the production, sale, and use of cars? Well, the answer, pretty easily, you could figure out, is going to be yes, I am. And so even though they're not in the market for cars, these people over here, Group C, are going to be impacted by the production and then use of cars. And so what we call that is there is an extra cost imposed upon them. So there's this cost to these private individuals, and then there is an extra cost that's imposed upon other people. So this becomes a problem because this market isn't taking into consideration all these other factors. When these buyers choose to buy a car, they consider this private cost to them. What they don't consider is the extra cost imposed upon a third party. They usually don't consider the negative externalities. So what in this market are some of those negative externalities? Well, with cars, there is pollution. Okay, so pollution is a problem. Right? So pollution from the cars themselves, pollution from the factory, things like that. You could also talk about traffic, noise from the cars, car accidents, things like that. But let's just focus on pollution for a moment. And so when Group B buys a car from Group A, how is Group C actually impacted? Well, they have to deal with the pollution and with the smog and with the acid rain or the harming of plants, or my lungs hurt, or things like that. Those are all things that impact them directly. They impact them directly, but they had nothing to do with the sale or with the purchase of this good. So the market somehow is going to get this. They got it wrong. And so why did they get it wrong? Well, because the price of the car ignores the extra cost. All right. So the price of the car is ignoring this extra cost that's imposed upon this third party.